Greetings from Houston Community College. I am Professor Stephanie Jones, and I teach the business management class, Small Business Operations. The Small Business Operation class is virtually a small business where students interview for and take on the roles of managers in the various departments, and then they perform as managers throughout the class. Our class is connected with a Virtual Enterprise International program. The Chief Executive Officer, the Human Resource Director, the Operations Manager, and the Financial Planning and Marketing Director are positions that students interview for and try to qualify for. The additional students who are not usually in a director position are the students that work with various departments. In the class, managers of the department collaborate as a team. They were tasked to create a business, determine what type of business they would create, and then write a business plan to operate the business. My role has been to facilitate by serving as a coach and provide hands-off guidance. That's kind of hard, but it's been possible. This was my first semester teaching this type of class setting, so I basically learned with the students how to operate within this capacity. Opportunities that I recognized were this business simulation gives students hands-on practical experience that develops life skills for each of the students. Critical thinking is one of the vital student learning outcomes of the business development process, mainly because students had to do a lot of research and decision making as they work through the many business processes. Some of the outcomes were the simulation greatly inspires students so that they now can think more about what is involved in becoming an entrepreneur. Small business operations engage students to learn a lot about business by doing business. In terms of significance of small business startups on the economy, after researching, the Office of Advocacy of the United States Small Business Administration revealed these facts. It was discovered that in the year 2018, in the United States, there were 30.2 million businesses, and of that, there were 8.0 million minority-owned small businesses. Small minority-owned businesses has become a growing trend in the economy of the United States. Small business startups has been the makings of alternative money-making solutions that has vastly empowered people. So the students in our class discovered that determining to start up a business requires a lot of research that can stem anywhere from what type of business it's going to be, starting a business that is personal and a passion, starting a business where there's a demand for the product or services in the present economy, and many other factors that can be used to determine what type of business you're going to start up. Also in the Small Business Association Office of Advocacy, the Small Business Profile for 2018 trends reflect how small business growth has taken off and is doing well. Multiple economic indicators consistently reflect strengthening in the United States economy. That was in 2017. In 2019, the research mission tracked the economic progress of all small businesses, and it was reported that there are about 5.9 million employee businesses, or 20% of all businesses. The other 24.8 million are mostly self-employed individuals who are non-employers, mostly self-employed individuals who operate their own small business. According to the Small Business Office Advocacy, in September 19, just recently as September 19, 2019, the non-employer component is less significant in overall economic terms. They generate around 3% of total business revenue. It was also identified through the Small Business Economic Bulletin that the Small businesses use quarterly and monthly data to illustrate the strengths and the weaknesses of the current small business economy. Small business strength indicators include self-employment increases, proprietary income gains, job creation advances, and births staying above death rates. But there was an indication of worry where there was a need for business to take out a loan. So the students in the class had an interest in specific type of business. Each one had probably different interests or different types of business that they were thinking. So it was very important that they collaborated, that they voted, and then they went through a process of elimination until they were able to all agree on the same type of business in which they each shared the same interest. The students were led by more than a passion. They were led more by passion than demand. They felt they could sponsor services that might have been high in competition, but they were willing to move forward in this area because they believed they could do well even in the competitive market. Many students know what it's like for college students to sponsor events at competition high cost, so this would be a market that they would shoot for initially. They live to think about student experiences and then student word of mouth for advertising purposes. Students develop the concept to start small, develop a group of close-knit people who could believe in them, their own little group. And then they would agree to let this group be a means of marketing and advertisement for them. It's kind of using the word of mouth concept, which would only be like one source of marketing, but they were counting on it being the most impactful resource for starting up. So later in the business, they could develop a more competitive marketing strategy. The idea was to start small, provide services within a small circle of people that they knew, then expand their circle of influence. The process would repeat itself by way of developing a small expansion, and gradually the small expansions would influence their expected growth. They believed in creating, utilizing, and implementing a marketing plan at the same time as the circle of influence was taking place. They were very conscious about finances, and they took precautions to lessen costs as much as possible. They did not have problems cutting corners, but they were determined not to compromise the quality of services that they were offering. This meant that each person would be willing to go over and beyond the call of duty to ensure that services would not be lacking in anything. In learning to function as an entrepreneur, the finance and budgeting has to be strategic and planned out so that there is no shortage, no loss, and that all monies allotted to the various budgets would be used for the purposes intended. Sometimes it would be possible that they would have to juggle a little bit, but for the most part, the budget set would be the budget followed. Something that may not be considered but could be vital to the entire business process, the need for communication, the need for collaboration, for planning, and for transparency. If teams are constantly aware of what's going on in the business, planning would have a better chance of being successful. Decision making is never done by any one single individual, but there must be something in place to use as a guide when a decision cannot be reached. We don't always agree on everything, so something has to be established so that does not deter the process or hinder the ability to move forward. Starting and maintaining a business can be smooth, it can be rough, it can be stressful, it can be pleasant, but those who are operating within the business have to be all in and willing to put in the time and the energy as they make the commitment. This can sometimes mean that the smaller the business, the more roles that a single individual may have to play, but the sacrifice is inevitable. Overall, our class has come to understand that when individuals lack in commitment and responsibility, it may mean that others may have to step in and keep things moving. That's unfortunate, but that's a reality. Whatever is necessary has to be done in order to have a more productive and successful business team. Team members will fight for something they believe in, but without this level of commitment, a successful outcome will more than likely not become a reality. And just the opposite can be possible when everyone is willing to do whatever it takes to make it work.